Well, the city of Chicago just got a little less free thanks to Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Emanuel, the current Chicago mayor and former chief of staff to President Obama, has just won approval from the Chicago City Council for a draconian set of anti-protesting ordinances. The reason here is to prepare the city for the onslaught of really scary international protesters that are going to flood in for the G8 and NATO summits scheduled to take place this spring in Chicago. Or as the police chief describes them, quote, people who travel around the world as professional anarchists and rioters and a bunch of wild anti-globalist anarchists. Now, of course, the politicians in Chicago chose to conjure up images of the wild anarchist protesters of yore and not the peaceful Occupy Chicago protesters that will also be at the summit. But Emanuel is really just taking a page out of the playbook of many cities before him, drumming up fear to make him grab for power. And grab he did. You see, the ordinances passed this week grant Emanuel sweeping new powers, including his own little army. He's going to have the authority to deputize law enforcement personnel from the DEA, the FBI, the ATF, the DOJ, the Illinois State Police, and, quote, other law enforcement agencies determined by the superintendent of police to be necessary for the fulfillment of law enforcement functions. Now, that last part is pretty vague. Could Rahm hire Blackwater, for example? Well, with language we really don't know, which is alarming, to say the least. And what would a proper crackdown be without increased surveillance, of course? The city's also going to increase video, audio, and telecommunications equipment to monitor the city. They'll also increase the minimum fine for resisting arrest from $50 to $200. But the kicker is that they make sure to throw that in for the purpose of this ordinance, where the definition of resist will mean passive as well as active. And what should be perhaps the most infuriating part of this new ordinance to average Chicago residents is that Rahm now has the power to outsource city services to private companies and then provide assurances to that company that taxpayers will foot the bill of any lawsuit associated with those services. As Bernard Harcourt at The Guardian notes, it's a perfect example of privatizing the profits and socializing the costs. Now, what's truly alarming about this is that most of these new powers, they don't even expire after the summits are over. The specific contracts that involve hosting the NATO and G8 summits expire, but the newly expanded police powers, increased video surveillance, or changes to the process of acquiring permits, well, those are unfortunately forever. Now, because of Rahm Emanuel, Chicagoans' rights to free speech will forever be a little less strong.
As the President said, it's time to think about our home and our investments here, not somewhere else. And by de-escalating America's involvement in Afghanistan, we have the opportunity to invest now here at home, which has not happened over the last 10 years. Can I get a perspective? No, I'm serious. First of all, we have a great police department, very professional, great men and women dedicated to their profession and led well. Take it a step back. Now, first of all, I firmly believe, and I'll just say it, we're going to protect public speech, we're going to protect public safety, and they're not in conflict.
look. Take us. Come on. Shoot. Roll. Okay, so listen, things are changing a lot here. This had been a very peaceful march for a long time, and then this police van tried to come through, knock the person down right here, and they're calling out for a medic.
No credible threats that we've developed regarding the NATO summit or the city of Chicago this weekend.
And in this undisclosed location outside of Chicago is the Multi-Communications Center. We can't really call it a war room, but what we can tell you is that a multitude of agencies will be here monitoring activities in and around Chicago and then relaying any developments to those folks that are in the field. Like the 3,100 Chicago police officers guarding the downtown streets, protecting citizens, delegations in the thousands, and heads of state. Inside this very wired and secret location, officials from more than 40 separate agencies, like the Secret Service and FBI, will be monitoring everything.
We have real-time feeds coming in from cameras in various locations from the agencies here in Chicago. We are going to be operational 24 hours starting on Friday until the summit is over.
And that is Monday. In the meantime, preparations for hosting NATO, a 28-country military alliance summit, is no small order. Street barricades are being erected, public transportation slowed or even canceled, a large no-fly zone above the city, and in general, a hope for peace.